We are going to start out with Shestokas, so we can give him a welcoming applause. All right, so why do you want to become our Lee County Judge?
So I can get rid of this, right? Wendy did a great job of saying, Shestokas.
It took me a while.
It took her a while to get it, and typically when I've been first time in any number of courtrooms, I generally speaking, of course, introduce myself, David Shestokas, on behalf of whomever, and everything seems to stop for a minute or two, and the court reporter kind of stares at me, and I go to the court reporter, the common spelling, okay, S-H-E-S-T-O-K-A-S, and the fact is that about 5 months ago now, Judge Sturgis indicated that he was going to retire. For 2 years or 3 years before that, I've been writing about the Constitution for an online magazine called Suite 101. And during the course of that writing, I've been making an effort to educate individuals and people in my audience. I have about 26,000 readers a month on my Suite 101 blog about the Constitution and about the law. And I've been working hard to put it in language that's not legal. And from that standpoint, it seemed when Judge Sturgis was going to retire that I would have another opportunity to do something else in terms of helping the community and helping people be educated about the law. Now, Judge Hayward told you something about the county judge job. I have some materials there that explain more detail about the county judge job, but if I may, the job itself handles cases where the worst possible criminal penalty is up to a year in jail. The most amount of money in controversy in a civil case is up to $15,000. And so in many respects, in terms of the cases that are heard in the court system, those are like small cases, right? They're not serious penalties and they're not big dollar amounts, not tens of millions of dollars. But the fact is because of that, there are more people come through the county judge's courtroom than any other courtroom in the entire system. So the county judge is really the face of justice for more people than anyone else. So as a result of that, it's very, very important that despite the volume that's taking place, the county judge takes the time to explain and give detail and give reason for the decisions that they make, so that when somebody walks out of that courtroom, they understand why it happened. Because if they walk out of the courtroom and they don't know why something happened, then they have a little bit of a crack in their field for justice in this country. And that little crack can turn into a huge crack, and it can affect all of us on a day in and day out basis. So while that job is handling literally the smallest cases, they're the most important cases to that individual and those individuals at that particular point in time. So I suggest to you that that it's important that someone take the time to explain to every individual that's in that court what happened, why it happened. Whether they like the decision or not, they should at least understand and know that they got a fair shot in court. Now, from that standpoint, I think when I've, of course, been voting for judges over the years, I've looked at a couple of different things. And I would suggest that perhaps maybe you should too. There's probably a combination of life experience and legal experience. The life experience that someone should have in terms of becoming a judge should be some sort of experience that's brought them in contact with the world at large and with people at large and people from all walks of life. And from that particular standpoint, my family, I probably delivered my first case of beer when I was 7 years old. My dad's here. He's 83, Tom Shestokas, and he's here with us tonight. And I'm really blessed to have him here with me. And Dad used to take me on the weekends to deliver beer when I was 7 or 8 years old. You know, we drove, he'd take on the trucks because he had to deliver picnics and things like that. So in any event, though, I grew up in a situation where day in and day out, and then working in the summer times, partially paying for my school, I was working on a beer truck, and that beer truck took me into contact with everybody in the whole demographics of all of society. I'd go into poor neighborhoods some days, and I'd be in the rich neighborhoods in other days. I found out I got treated with respect by those people, and I understand that those people need to be treated with respect as well. And I think that it's also important from a life experience standpoint that it's really great that for any number of career paths that folks go to school, and then they get out of school, they go to law school, and then become lawyers. But they sort of wind up living a cloistered life. I didn't go to law school till I finished law school 12 years after I finished college, because I was working otherwise, and I was doing other things. And I think it's really important that somebody have a view that's not necessarily skewed by just hanging out with lawyers for the last 25 years. In any event, for the last 23 years, I have been an attorney. I was licensed in 1987. I used to be a prosecutor. While I was a prosecutor, I did every kind of case in the world. When somebody says, geez, how many cases have you done in court? Well, they don't believe me when I say more than 20,000. But the fact is that I got sworn in as a prosecutor in Cook County, Illinois, in Chicago, in the morning, and in the afternoon, I walked over, they gave me 400 files. I said, oh, this is great, I want to be busy, you know, and I said, when do I have to take care of these? And they said, this afternoon, you know. And so we did 20,000 cases easy during the course of the 5 years that I was a prosecutor. After that, I've been in private practice, doing primarily criminal defense work, and so from the legal experience aspect, I've been both prosecution and defense. So from that particular standpoint, I've seen both sides of the fence, and it's certainly important for a judge to know that there are both sides to every story. And a judge needs to be in a position where they can see both sides to every story, and then take the law and apply it to the facts that they've heard before them. So I suggest to you that I want to have the opportunity to do that, because I know how important this job is in terms of making societal glue hold together. Just as my writing on the constitutional issues has been designed to do that, that's what this is designed to do. There's Judge Hayward mentioned something about the ethics involved, and the Supreme Court takes Florida Supreme Court takes the ethics of running for judge very, very seriously. In the materials I handed out to you, I deal a little bit with Canon 7 that talks about what limitations there are when you're running for judge or when you are a judge. I don't know, some of you may have seen my Facebook posting or my Twitter posting today, and then while the Florida Supreme Court takes it very, very seriously, I found a quote from a fellow by the name of Robert Byrd, who was a senator from West Virginia, I believe. Said that the best way to run a campaign is to make sure you run it in a way that will not embarrass your mother. And in terms of being blessed, my mom is here today too, and so I'm being very She's 81 and she flew in yesterday. Dad drove 1,300 miles. He used to drive the truck when I was 7. I drove the truck when he was 83. So in any event, I believe we're going to have an opportunity to answer some questions when you get the chance. I want to have the opportunity to serve as Lee County Judge, primarily to do justice and be in a situation so that the glue in society is held together by the judge that's seen more people than any other job in the judicial system. Thank you.